Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Paranormal News with Jamie. I'm Jamie, and today I have a terrifying Bigfoot story of Utah. It's an interview someone did. It's with Steve Schaefer, and it says here, the backstory is many years ago, Steve and his partner Gail had a couple of men on the slope working on the mines in the Bear Hole tunnels in Hoyt. In this video, you'll hear firsthand what Steve and his team went through while man collided with Bigfoot. Please, it says also, please subscribe to the channel. That's, what channel is that? It is called treasuresinamerica.com. This is where this video comes from. So yeah, highly recommend going over to treasuresinamerica.com. So let's get this. Treasures in America. Yep, head over there. There's a lot of cool stories on there.
Okay, we're ready whenever you are.
This is a story of a couple Bigfoot that accosted two of our miners up on Hoyt Peak back 20 years ago. We had a company by the name of Has Petroleum, and the owner of the company was Mike Taylor, and Mike Adams, and they were pretty busy, pretty diversified, so they thought, well, we need to get a couple guys working on the mine that wouldn't mind doing it just for the experience and maybe, expenses and such. Well, it turned out that they found a couple guys in Washington State that were college students, and they wanted the job of working in the mine and being in the mountains. And on top of that, they were Bigfoot hunters. And at that time, Utah wasn't known for any Bigfoot sightings at all, hardly at all. Maybe a few, but not many. So anyway, they came up there, these two college boys, and they were in their, I think the one was 19 and one was 21. And they set to working up on the Josephine. They had their camp set up just above the mine. And we went up there and made sure they had food and made sure they had all the stuff they needed to mine. And they were basically just grubbing out the hole with 5-gallon buckets. Well, I lived in Kearns at the time, and my partner Gail Rhodes lived in West Jordan. One morning, very early in the morning, I get a phone call. And I crawl out of bed, and I answered the phone, and I said, hello, and he said, this is Dusty. He says, we got to get to Camas. And I said, why? He said, well, our two miners are sitting in a phone booth down there, freezing to death, and they're only wearing their skivvies. And we got to go get them. I said, what the heck happened? He said, well, I'll tell you on the way. So I drove to his house, got in his Jeep, and away we went. And he said that they had been chased off the mountain by Bigfoot, and they wrecked their car coming down Whitehall. So that's all he knew. So we get to Camas, and they're in a Isuzu car, one of those Isuzu things.
Oh, the Isuzu?
And it was totally hammered. You couldn't even drive it. Once they got down to the Camas Cafe, it was how they got that far. I'll never know.
Wow.
They tore the trans out of it, the rear end, everything.
Wow.
So anyway, they're huddled together in the phone booth right next to the Camas Cafe, and it's raining like cats and dogs, and they are in their underwear. So we get them in the Jeep, get it warmed up. Dusty went to the phone booth and he called the owner of the cafe, had him come and open up early. We got him in the cafe, got him some blankets, got him some hot chocolate and a cup of coffee for the one kid. And this is the story they told. They said they were up in their tent, and it was lightning and thundering a little bit. And they brought some tapes with them of Bigfoot calls that they had taped over in Washington. And so they thought they'd play them. So they're up there playing these tapes. One kid says, and all of a sudden we hear this horrible roar, growl. And he said, it's very close. And we thought, this must be a big bear or something. Then it started yelling and talking, and they knew it was a Bigfoot. So they cranked up the mic, cranked up the volume on their machine, and another one yelled from the right.
Wow.
And so they thought, hey, this is way cool. And so they started barking in the tent, making all kinds of noise. All of a sudden, the tent come flying off. And he said there were these two creatures that were at least 7 foot tall, and they started tearing everything there was apart in that camp.
Wow.
These two idiots jumped in their car and zipped off that mountain as fast as they could go, crashing all the way down.
That's why they're in their underwear and everything else.
And they were so petrified when they seen these things. They didn't come after them, but they went after everything in the tent, all their camp stuff, and it's raining. And there's the big things. They said they were both real dark. They could see their facial features. They were like a man, only a lot of hair, and they were really tall. And so we said, well, let's go back to your camp and see what we can scavenge up for you. You know, maybe salvage some stuff. And they said, no, we're never going back. We're never going back. I said, well, you gonna go home? Yeah. I said, you gonna go home in your underwear? If we have to, we're not going back. Well, the owner of the cafe at that time was a pretty generous guy, and so he bought him. He was gonna go buy him some clothes and get him to the airport in Salt Lake to fly home. Well, Rhodes and I got up on the mountain up here after it had stopped raining, and we got to the camp, and we couldn't believe what we saw. There was a 3-burner Coleman stove, and it was twisted, looked like a pretzel.
Wow.
Just like that, just twisted. All the coolers were completely demolished. There wasn't a can of soda that wasn't flat.
Wow.
They had a couple walking sticks that were smashed into pieces. Their sleeping bags were completely shredded, and their tent was completely just pieces everywhere. All the tent poles were folded in quarters and thrown in a pile.
Well, that's pretty much the end of that story. Yeah. Their tent, everything was destroyed. I mean, I don't know what they got what they're asking for, I guess, in a way. If you think about it, they were Bigfoot fans, so am I, and they took up audio recordings, like the Sierra Sounds. I did a episode on that, on the Sierra Sounds. That's probably what they brought up. I mean, if you're going to use something pretty authentic, and they got communication back, obviously, and who knows what language it was. Maybe they're aggressive Bigfoot, I don't know, or maybe they're just hungry, or maybe the language they were using was offensive. We don't know, right? But that was a great story. I liked it. So I hope you guys liked it too, and hope you enjoyed this episode. And there's more coming, of course. Till next time, everybody. Hope you have a great day. Bye bye.